I'm outside. Come on, shake some. Come on, shake some.
He gonna get dropped while he plays.
Come on, shake some. Hey, get your employees.
Think I ain't told my son, his mama, and his grandmamas, his going to prison. If you got to keep this up, his going to prison. Ain't no way around it. Can't nobody stop it but him. You know what I mean? I've already had the conversation. I've already made my peace with it. Because I know that energy. I was that energy.
You are embarrassing yourself and your family. You're embarrassing yourself. You are embarrassing yourself. You are embarrassing yourself. Man, what is she talking about?
Well, you can't do nothing with me. Ain't you can do with me.
Imagine raising your son in a multi-million-dollar mansion, giving him the best of everything, and then watching him grow up trying to act like he's straight out of the hood. That's exactly what's happening with T.I.E.'s son, King Harris. He's out here flashing gang signs and trying to act tough, but the truth is, he's a kid who grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth.
Fulio, get your in the boxing ring. I want to speak on. Man, I hear a lot of these got so much to say when it's viral, but when I tell them in that boxing ring, everybody want to be quiet.
King has been trying hard to distance himself from his dad's success and their comfortable lifestyle lately, probably because he wants to create his own identity. But instead of doing something constructive, he's getting into all kinds of trouble to prove he's some kind of gangster. King's antics are wild. Remember that time he allegedly threatened to pistol whip a Waffle House employee?
And you still talking inside though. You still talking inside though. Why you inside? Can't stop me from doing.
Or that other incident where he got into an argument with some random guys in an Atlanta parking lot and almost pulled a gun out of his backpack, threatening to shoot up the place.
What you want? What you want? You from here?
Yeah, I'm from here. Yeah, I'm from here.
All right, so. Oh, hell yeah, let's go. What's up with you, bro?
He even does dumb stuff like paying a homeless man to do a hot chip challenge without water. The same challenge that tragically led to a young kid's death. Instead of just helping the guy out, King thought it would be funny to pull a stunt like that.
Different flavor, but it's still hot. So look, there you go, $50, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Oh,
Even T.I. has spoken out about his son's behavior. He and his family have been trying to get King to calm down with all the gangster stuff, but King isn't listening.
Think I ain't told my son, his mama, and his grandmamas, his going to prison. If you got to keep this up, his going to prison. Ain't no way around it.
And if all his reckless behavior wasn't enough, King went on to do an interview where he pretty much denied being raised by T.I. and Tiny. He claimed he's not some privileged rich kid, even though we all saw him grow up in a gated community with all the comforts money could buy. King tried to paint a picture of being secretly raised at his grandma's house in the middle of the hood.
I live with my grandma. You know, we'll go to the house on like a weekend. They'll say, hey, we shooting today. We need y'all at the house. They'll come get me from my grandma's house. And right after we done, when the cameras go off, I'm right back to my grandma's house.
Then there was that incident at the Atlanta Falcons game, where T.I. was set to perform. T.I. and Tiny were joking around with King, and Tiny ended up spilling the truth. She said the only reason they would take King to his grandma's house was because he kept crying to go over there, not because he was left in the hood by his parents like he's been claiming. A lot of people think that when Tiny exposed him for being a spoiled rich kid, King got embarrassed, especially since this all happened on Instagram Live. That public call-out probably set him off, causing him to lash out at his own parents and start talking about standing on business.
I know you. What's wrong with y'all? Why y'all doing that to me? Y'all know me. You know I stand on business. You know I stand on business. Why you even letting somebody play with me like that? Why you letting somebody play with me like that?
King's foolish behavior didn't go unnoticed, especially by the late Fulio, who had no problem calling him out. Fulio took to Instagram and wrote, "I don't get why Jit wanna be gangsta, you grew up with a silver spoon." That comment really set King off. Feeling insulted, the 19-year-old took to social media and fired back, challenging the Jacksonville rapper to step into the ring with him.
Fulio, get your in the boxing ring. I want to speak on. Man, I hear a lot of these got so much to say when it's viral, but when I tell them in that boxing ring, everybody want to be quiet.
King had been posting videos of himself boxing in the gym with a trainer, probably feeling like he was the next Mike Tyson or something.
Mike Tyson shit. I'm mad. I just been mad lately. I'm ready to get in there and punch somebody. Angry. I've been angry, and I'm waiting on one of these young rappers to fix their mouth to get in that boxing ring.
But Foolio wasn't about to entertain King's antics. He clapped back on his Instagram story with a blunt warning. I barely post or troll Nomo King. Find you something productive to do before you be watching Netflix in heaven with our Lord and Savior. When King picked a fight with one of the most notorious gangsters in Florida's rap scene, social media went wild. People were baffled by his decision to go after someone with Foolio's reputation. Shoddy barking up the wrong tree. Bro, your dad can't save you from this one person tweeted, highlighting how King was in over his head. Another warned, he's gonna put T.I. in a bad situation. King isn't from the streets. People were clearly concerned that King's tough guy act would get him into serious trouble. Someone even commented, he's gonna get himself hurt and I only hope it's caught on camera so we can hear him cry for his mommy, daddy, and the police. And honestly, they weren't wrong to be worried. The streets are nothing to play with, and even a notorious figure like Foolio wasn't immune. He ended up getting shot and killed. Just hours after Foolio's death, King posted a cryptic message on his Instagram story that seemed to address what had happened. Y'all be safe out here. Many saw this as a subtle jab, almost like he was trying to prove a point. But instead of gaining respect, it only sparked more warnings. People started telling King to drop his fascination with street life because nothing good ever comes from it. One tweet summed up the sentiment perfectly. I hope King Harris realizes this ain't no damn game. Foolio checked him not too long ago. Don't make yourself a target. That's exactly why so many people are trying to warn King. He's dipping his toes into something he doesn't really understand. This is real life we're talking about, with real life gangsters, and it's not some game. Just look at how the ongoing war between the ATK and KTA gangs in Jacksonville led to Foolio's death. That shows just how dangerous it is. Over the past few years, Foolio and his crew, 6 Block KTA, have been locked in a brutal feud with their rivals, the ATK gang, and they've been using their music to stir the pot even more. Their controversial lyrics often detail the murders of their enemies, which has given rise to a new genre in hip-hop called murder rap. To understand how it all led to this tragic moment, we need to rewind a bit. Back in 2021, one of the most talked about songs on social media was Who I Smoke by Young Ace. This track brought to light one of the deadliest rap feuds going on for years in Jacksonville, Florida. The rappers from Jacksonville had a unique style of embedding clues to revenge killings in their music videos, often taking beats from classic pop songs and rapping the most sinister lyrics over them.
Who I smoke, baby, who I smoke.
Young Ace and his crew remixed the classic Vanessa Carlton song 1,000 Miles and flipped it, filming at a luxurious golf course, smoking cigars and dancing to lyrics that celebrated the deaths of their rival crew, led by Foolio in North Jacksonville. Who I Smoke went viral, hitting 16 million views in just a month and grabbing reactions from all the major influencers online.
Who I smoke. Say it.
No! Hey, Foolio, come get this nigga.
Videos I've seen. Just, you know why? They ain't show one gun in the video. But the way they seem to be just nonchalantly enjoy life while clowning the niggas who died?
With such a bold move from Young Ace, Foolio felt the need to retaliate in a way that was even darker and more ominous. Foolio remixed a classic Fantasia song, and in his music video, he printed out a large poster of 2 of Ace's friends and his blood brother who had died beside Ace in a drive-by shooting outside a Japanese steakhouse. Ace was the only one in the car who survived that attack.
Who I Smoke came out of nowhere, went crazy, kind of made it more mainstream to where people who don't even know y'all, they were tapped into it.
I took it too far when they made a song first. Speaking, once the dead get involved, it's already too far.
Corbin Johnson was last seen alive in July of last year. Then last Friday, a man discovered the victim's skeletal remains.
Since then, Foolio's crew and Young Ace's crew have released diss track after diss track aimed at each other, with hidden messages embedded in their music videos. What makes this feud even colder is that some of the folks beefing are literal cousins, blood relatives caught up on opposite sides of this violent rivalry.
No, that is your cousin. Nigga, fuck your cousin, nigga. That's your real cousin? That's your cousin, I don't give a
Now, while Florida has always been a major player in the rap scene, Jacksonville didn't really hit the mainstream until the viral diss tracks between two crews put it on the map. On one side, we've got young Gene Ace, the face of the ATK gang, which mainly controls the west side of Jacksonville. On the other side is Foolio, the leader of KTA, also known as Kill Them All. KTA is an alliance between Foolio's gang from the north and another crew called Young and Reckless from the south side. The beef between Young Gene Ace and Foolio kicked off around 2017 over what they both say was a misunderstanding. It's a bit unclear what exactly happened, but it quickly escalated from a simple disagreement to a full-blown war. What makes this feud even more tragic is the number of mutual friends both sides had. While Ace and Foolio were never exactly close, they shared friends like Queso. Queso, who is currently locked up with his father on charges for 2 murders, including the K-wording of Foolio's blood brother Bibby, played a significant role in the beef. After Bibby's murder, Queso notoriously wore Bibby jerseys and took photos like trophies. He even released an album in 2019 with images of his dead rivals on the cover, like a twisted Mount Rushmore of fallen enemies. Jacksonville Police, or JSO, are notorious for not solving cases. In fact, 70% of murders in the city go unsolved. This led to the online catchphrase JSO loves Queso, because Queso blatantly broadcasts his actions on social media. Despite this, all of Queso's songs have millions of views on YouTube, and he was even close with King Von. Queso even appeared in that infamous video where Quando, Rondo, and King Von were joking around before their tragic fallout. But back in Jacksonville, Queso had built quite a reputation for his ruthless behavior. One of his most infamous stunts was trying to organize a real-life teen deathmatch with his own cousins, who were part of the rival gang KTA.
What's up? Where you at?
Come when I do a team deathmatch.
Right now?
Y'all 2 versus us 2. Look at my cousin.
One of these cousins was Lil 9. Just a month after their heated online exchange, Lil 9 was ambushed while leaving a gas station. He was shot 12 times by a rifle from another car, causing his vehicle to crash into a nearby tire shop. Tragically, Lil 9 was pronounced dead at the scene. While people at the tire shop were desperately trying to revive him, Lil 9's friend, who had been with him during the attack, was frantically walking around the store filming the aftermath.
You fought nigga played.
Lil 9's cousin recreated the gruesome scene from the tire shop in a video.
Get out! Get out! Y'all niggas played. Y'all niggas played. Y'all niggas played.
60 days later, Queso dropped a music video where he put a photo of his own deceased cousin, Lil 9, in a microwave.
The biggest step of them all. Biggest host.
The craziest part of this whole feud is that all these guys were once friends. Queso met young Gene Ace in the 9th grade and they had been tight ever since. But Foolio likes to remind Queso that back in 2015, he used to hang out with them and even had the nickname 6 Block Queso because of his affiliation with Foolio's gang, 6 Block. Even young Gene Ace admitted he was a fan of Foolio's music before their beef got out of control. But a series of unfortunate events forced everyone to pick sides quickly. It all came to a head at a block party in South Jacksonville, which was in Y&R territory. A crew led by Y&R Mookie and his right-hand man, Slugga T. Ace and his gang showed up to the party and got into an argument with Y&R's leader, Mookie. Shots were fired, and a bullet grazed Mookie. Slugga T fired back, but Ace and his crew managed to escape, leaving the situation tense and volatile. To make matters worse, Mookie was already friends with Foolio's cousin, which made it easy for Y&R and Foolio's gang to form an alliance under the name KTA, or Kill Them All, with a shared enemy, young Gene Ace and his crew, ATK. The situation in Jacksonville was getting worse, with the murder rate climbing year after year. In 2017, young Gene Ace dropped the song Go to War, which was pretty much an open challenge to anyone opposing ATK. Not long after, Ace's home got shot up, signaling that things were about to get really intense. But the real tipping point came a few months later. One of Ace's friends went out looking for revenge after he got robbed. He knew exactly where the robber was staying, at Foolio's cousin's house on the west side of Jacksonville. Determined to get payback, he snuck into the house by throwing a brick through the sliding door and entering from the back. He started shooting with no mask and no gloves, aiming for the robber, but instead ended up K-wording Foolio's cousin Zion and wounding a 9-year-old girl. This tragic incident marked the real beginning of the war between ATK and KTA. Zion's death was a catalyst that set off a chain of retaliations. Not long after Zion's death, his sister was shot 14 times in an attempt to prevent her from testifying in court. Miraculously, she survived. The friend of Youngin Ace who did the shooting was eventually sentenced to life in prison, but this was just the beginning of the violence. With Fulio's cousin being the first to die in this beef, KTA was looking to make a swift and powerful statement of revenge. Ace's music career was starting to gain serious traction around this time. His new song, F That, was getting millions of views on WorldStar in just a few days, and fans were already comparing him to NBA YoungBoy. Then, just a week later, tragedy struck.
Four young men were in this car when they were shot. The vehicle pulled up to their Chevy sedan, opened fire, then took off, and one is in critical condition at the hospital.
It was a Tuesday in June 2018. Ace, his brother, and two friends were headed to Wasabi, a Japanese steakhouse, to celebrate his friend's 18th birthday. Everyone was in high spirits, taking photos and enjoying the evening, but they had no idea that they were being watched the whole time. Rivals had found out their location through Ace's Instagram story, where he posted photos outside the steakhouse and even recorded his friends eating inside. Their enemies waited outside, watching them, and then followed them as they left the restaurant and drove along the highway. When they reached a red light, the shooters opened fire on the passenger side of Ace's car, K wording his two best friends and his brother, and leaving Ace in critical condition. It was a quadruple shooting, and the news spread quickly. Fulio got word before anyone else and mistakenly thought Ace was dead.
Them boy lost the Fortnite match. I took on up my cold summer alert, man. 2-3 pack, man. Ace.
Of course, Youngin Ace managed to survive that brutal attack, but it left him devastated, losing his brother and two best friends. Despite the tragedy, the attention he was getting started to boost his career. However, the violence didn't stop. Every time Ace released a new track, his rival YNR Mookie would drop a diss track with the same title, turning the feud into a deadly musical back and forth. The situation got so intense that the Jacksonville police had to step in. They created a special unit called the Violence Reduction Strategy Team, dedicated to analyzing music videos from both sides, looking for any clues. The assistant chief even mentioned in an interview that the music wasn't just for entertainment, it was real and deadly serious. In February 2019, things took another tragic turn. Fulio's little brother Bibby became the next target. Bibby was only 16 years old and was coming home from school, just hanging out in his own neighborhood at the Hilltop Apartments on the north side of Jacksonville. He was chilling on a gazebo in the courtyard with a friend, both of them looking at their phones. Suddenly, gunfire erupted. The boys dropped their phones and ran in different directions, desperately trying to find cover. In just 15 seconds, 60 rounds were fired. Bibby was K-worded instantly. A year later, court documents were unsealed, revealing that the police had named K-So as the gunman responsible for Bibby's murder. According to the documents, K-So and his crew had been circling the complex for hours, waiting for the right moment. When they finally saw Bibby, they sprang into action, unleashing a barrage of Draco rounds. K-So allegedly walked up to Bibby, who was on the ground trying to shield himself from the gunfire, and executed him at close range before fleeing the scene in a gray Nissan. Adding insult to injury, K-So had a habit of wearing Bibby jerseys and posting photos on his Instagram, celebrating the murder as if it were some kind of trophy. This kind of behavior only fueled the hatred and violence between the rival gangs. For Fulio, losing his brother and his cousin in such a short span of time was a massive blow. Just a month after Fulio's brother was unalived, K-So found himself arrested for a completely different murder alongside his father, who was charged as an accessory after the fact. The story goes that they were avenging a diss by a rival rapper named KTA Lil Buck. Buck had dissed K-So's older brother, who died in a brutal ambush. Two cars had rolled up on a van full of K-So's relatives, blocking them off and spraying 100 bullets into the vehicle. This feud was beyond personal. It was a vicious cycle of revenge that seemed never-ending. The war between these crews had escalated to a point where no one was safe, no matter where they were. Shootings could happen anytime, anywhere. Now, going back to King, people can't help but notice that he's acting like he forgot who his own dad is. Let's be real. T.I. is the original gangster in this story, and he's been standing on business long before King was even a thought. Back to the incident at the Atlanta Falcons game where King tried to call out his own parents. It was such a mess that T.I. had to step in and allegedly put him in a chokehold like any father trying to set his kid straight would.
Embarrassing yourself and your family. You're embarrassing yourself. You are embarrassing yourself. You are embarrassing yourself.
Man, get off me.
Hey, what is she talking
Man, get off me. Get off me.
Well, you can't do nothing with me. Ain't you can do with me.
King ended up looking foolish, and honestly, he embarrassed himself and his whole family with that stunt. The internet didn't hold back either. There are memes everywhere clowning him for acting tough when he's clearly not about that life. It's like King is living in a fantasy, trying to convince himself and everyone else that he's not a privileged kid when his reality is the complete opposite. His mom's a millionaire, his dad's a millionaire, and he grew up in a celebrity household, not the hood. This dude is living the good life, yet he's out here trying to pretend he's from the streets. It's like seeing someone raised in a mansion trying to sneak off to the projects. It just doesn't add up. And that's the thing with this new generation, especially in the age of social media. Everyone thinks they can just create an image online, and suddenly that's who they are. But King needs a reality check. If he really wants to prove he's tough, and that he got it out of the mud, he needs to step away from his parents' money and actually grind like the kids who really have it hard. Let him leave his cozy life in the VIP section at the Falcons game and go hustle on the streets, get a real job, build a career, and see what it really means to stand on business. That's what people are saying. You can't talk about being real while living off your parents' fame and fortune. King needs to learn that actions speak louder than words, especially in the streets.